We have finally worked out the interpretation. So all of us with our different diverse languages are able to hear. So may I request Carla just to give us the language barriers. How are you going to break the language barrier?
Good morning, everybody. Sorry for the little delay we had. So if some of you want to connect to interpretation in French and Spanish, I will explain that now, but I will explain it in French and Spanish because you're there, you know. OK. Bonjour à tous les francophones. Si vous voulez écouter la réunion en français, c'est possible grâce à l'interprétation. Pour ça, il vous suffit de vous connecter sur Zoom. Sur la session plénière. Vous regardez dans le programme, premier jour, session plénière, vous vous connectez sur Zoom, vous avez les petits boutons d'interprétation, vous sélectionnez français et c'est tout bon. Si vous avez un problème, n'hésitez pas à venir vous voir et on va vous aider à vous connecter ou à vous avoir un meilleur Internet si c'est nécessaire. C'est bon pour vous? OK, merci. Johannes, il va faire l'espagnol parce que moi, c'est pas possible.
Gracias, Carla. Muy buenos días a todos y todas. Quisiera brevemente explicarles cómo generar la interpretación en esta sesión. Como Carla me ha dicho ya, también debería introducirme brevemente. Soy Johannes y pueden también venir para cualquier apoyo a ver Carla y a mí, o también a Fatuma y a la otra persona que está con nosotros aquí. Pueden conectarse con el enlace que se encuentra en el programa de Zoom. Ustedes se conectan al Zoom y de ahí ustedes pueden encontrar la opción de interpretación. Ustedes escogen allá español. Entonces, el enlace de Zoom que se encuentra dentro de la agenda, se conecten con sus teléfonos o con sus móviles y se conectan ahí para poder entender todas las sesiones en español y francés. Que tengan un muy buen día. So we have all the languages hidden. I think there are several people who are not with us, but who are digitally and virtually also following. We have waited for long, and we are saying we want justice. We want? When do we want it? When do we want it? Not in 2030, but when do we want it? Already the halfway is there, but still people are talking about what will we do after. But we are not interested in what we do after. Because the people who have sent us here, the people who have been completely denied justice in the countries where we are from, are not willing to stay any longer. I'm not saying that, you know, we will have one more round of goals, we will have one more round of targets. No. We want justice now. I need to speak in the microphone. Yeah, thank you. So, friends, we have some voices that are conveying this message from the ground. I invite Jane Anyango. Sorry, I got the name right, I hope. Yes. Jane Anyango is the founder director of Polycon and GCAP Kenya. Welcome and give a big hand.
Women power. Women power. Can we say power? Women power. Women power. Men, men, are you in the house? Okay. So I'm happy to be here today. My name is Jane Anyango from Kibera Slums in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm the founder of Polycom Development Project. We are organizing, mobilizing, and amplifying the voices of women and girls living in slum communities across Kenya, especially on issues that affect their lives. We refuse to be the beneficiaries the way people call us. We want to be part and parcel of development processes. We want to be part and parcel of decision-making processes. We have had several people's assemblies across the continent. In Kenya, we had our national People's Assembly, which was convened in Kibera. We were able to bring women together in their diversity. We also brought together different decision makers. And what we are saying is that it's important for people to plan together. For a long time, so many ideas are brought down to us, not listening to what is happening in various communities. At the end of the day, it's a waste of resources. Because when people bring to you what doesn't work for you, then they are only wasting their resources. At the end of the day, the world is celebrating a lot of things that they have been able to do in the communities. But the people at the community level are saying we are at the same level. There's nothing that is changing in our communities. We have our own strategies as community people, and they have been tried, tested, and they have worked for us. If only we can get funding, if only people can listen to us, if only governments can listen to us, then we can have change in our communities. We pray and we request and we appeal for all donors in the room that the people in the communities are now empowered. We have been talking about women empowerment forever. If my grandmother was empowered and my mother was empowered and I am empowered right now, what about my daughter? My daughter should be at the global level. I'm happy to be here today. I'm very happy to be here today to be talking to you. But it cannot be business as usual. You can no longer continue looking at people at the grassroots as the beneficiaries. They are stakeholders. They have learned from others. They have transitioned to be better people today. So I'm just appealing to you all, everyone in the room, if there's someone you know within your community, don't look at them that people are only waiting to receive. They are not just waiting to receive. Things have changed. The world has changed. We are able to access internet. We know about our policies. Engage us, work with us, bring us to the decision-making tables. Thank you so much.
Ooh. We need to be around the table. These issues need to be around the table. And the people are insisting that we are no longer willing to be a menu, but we need to be around the table and make sure that these concerns are addressed. Friends, welcome again to this Global People's Assembly. Due to some technical problems, I'm not able to screen the 64 coalitions, networks, organizations who have made this possible. So give them a big hand again. I think when we launch it, there are very big names. You will be astonished how big names we are here in the room, in one room. I also want to acknowledge that the Global Call to Action Against Poverty has 40 coalitions in 40 countries around across the whole world. And you will think that, you know, some of these multinationals are large, but because we are also very, very, very large group spread across, mainly with the focus on leave no one behind and the excluded communities. We have constituency groups specifically focusing on youth, on communities discriminated on work and descent, and indigenous, and we will have more. I would like just to recognize the presence of the co-chair of the GCAP, Georgina. If you can just Yeah, Georgina, if you can just raise your hand. Yeah, Georgina and Omar. Georgina has been, is really fighting a big struggle in the country, and she's not allowed to get back into the country, and we need solidarity. And Omar from
Senegal.
Senegal,
Is the other co-chair.
give them a big hand. Yeah, thank you. And also welcome, I'm one of the other co-chairs from Asia, from India, specifically representing the communities discriminated on work and dissent. We welcome all the dignitaries, members of the permanent missions, and very high dignitaries. We have the UN Assistant Secretary General here with us. We have the co-chair of Coalition for UN, and also former President of the General Assembly, and they will also be speaking to us. So we are very happy and sure that it is just not civil society, but the voices and the sovereign representatives of the sovereign nations who will make and who have to make these goals a reality. Friends, are we still looking to Google? Sorry, Google. He has been delayed. Who's representing the? Yes, I already mentioned that. Okay, yeah. So we have a video now. Is it being streamed? Okay, so we wait. Are we ready with that, or we will have you still want some time? Okay, so are we good to go? Please. These are voices that have been from my. So in the meantime, may I request Amitabh would speak to us about social justice and inequality. Amitabh, as many of us know, has started his career as one of the leaders of the global call to action against poverty, and also, of course, the founding member of the GCAP India. It's called Vadana Sodo Abhiyan, and several hats, and now he's the global executive head of the Oxfam International. So welcome, Amitabh. Please share your message. Good morning, everyone. Morning, Vanakkam, Jai Bhim, Hola, Namaste, Salve. Yes. So I'm absolutely delighted to be here. It's a pleasure and a privilege being here with all of you. And I must say honestly that I'm more delighted being here than inside that building. This, this is amongst friends, peers, and this is with people who want justice now. So really, really grateful for this assembly. I'm super excited to see the names of the 64 organizations which have come together. It's quite remarkable. And one of the big challenges that we've had, and I hope we can overcome that through such efforts, is that I still feel that the social justice movement, the economic justice movement, the environmental justice movement, and human rights movement, they all need to work together in tandem. Synchronized action is what we need. So I hope we can do that. I also wanted to say, as Paul was saying, this is really a critical moment for us. It's important. Who do we owe this moment to? Many, many people. But I just want to remind all of us of some names. Let me start by talking about the protesters in Hong Kong. I'm sure you remember the protesters in Hong Kong just 2 years ago. Average common people using their umbrellas to protect their identities, but on the street against one of the mightiest states, the Chinese regime. We owe this to the young people who for the last several years have been sitting on strike every Friday. We owe this to George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement here in this country, who ended his life saying, "I cannot breathe." And we owe this to Mahsa Amini, who just 1 year ago, it was this week, and she was killed. And what did she want? She wanted freedom. These are the people we owe. And I also want to link this to one of the most exciting moments for me in the US was many years ago when I came and I went to the Wall Street and I saw hundreds and thousands of our friends and comrades and activists occupying Wall Street. I think that's what we need. And then their slogan was, "We will not accept an economy which is only for the top 1%. I'm sure many of you would have seen that inspirational Occupy movement. And I just want you to, build on that particular moment. And I'm going to be talking about it for a couple of minutes. What we saw then has only got worse. In the last few years, it's the first time globally in the last 25 years when you have seen at the same time extreme wealth rise and extreme poverty rise. This is the same time when we have seen, in the last 3 years post-COVID, we've seen the wealth of billionaires double. When you saw almost 25% of the global population living without food or living in debt. That's the level of inequality we are seeing. And let me say that, it got worse. Oxfam's report on inequality tells us that all the wealth created in the last 10 years, the new wealth that's been created, please, I want to underscore this because this is really critical. All the new wealth created in the last 1 decade has been cornered by 50% of that has been cornered by the top 1%. 50% of the new wealth created cornered by 1%. But mind you, in the last 3 years, post-COVID, it's actually 2/3 of the new wealth which has gone to the top 1%. This is unacceptable. This is morally, ethically unacceptable. You would find it odd, but even economically, it's not sustainable. Even the IMF, the World Bank, which is pretty much responsible for the policies which have got us here, are now saying these levels of inequality are not sustainable. Why is this inequality happening? What are the consequences? I think this is clearly an economic system we have created, and by design. I keep saying that inequality is not inevitable. It's a political choice. It's a political choice the world leaders make, the national governments make, and we need to challenge that. It's a policy choice that we have made. And what does it do? How does it work? it's essentially surviving on the unpaid and underpaid work of women. And there's data around that. What does it do? The climate crisis is the other face of the same coin. It's the same economic system that we have created. Again, from one of our Oxfam reports, the top 1% are responsible for double the carbon emissions of the bottom 50%. That's the level of inequality we are seeing. As in, we certainly cannot accept this economic system. We need to change it. We need to change it dramatically. So my call to action, as in, I hope we are together. We are here to make a difference. We want justice now. So I would want us to give some calls for action. And those calls for action can be of multiple kinds. But from my side, we need to be looking at the intersectionality of inequality. I talked of gender. I talked of climate, human rights. These are all interlinked. And we need to ensure that the intersectionality of inequality also is brought into the center stage. And let me give you some very concrete policy prescriptions. Let's hope we as an assembly can give a call and then put our weight behind that. Tax the super rich. We really need to tax the super rich. It's a myth that's been created. It's a lie that's been peddled again and again, and that's called the trickle-down theory. There's been no trickle-down. It just doesn't work. It just gets accentuated at the top 1%. Tax the super rich. Ensure that the corporates do not avoid taxes and you do not have tax havens. We can do that. Let's forget about the kind of slogans which governments come up with of austerity. It's a shame that when people are not being able to get a life of dignity, access to education and health, we are starving national governments by putting them in a debt crisis. They're repaying debts and not being able to put money on education and health. That's not acceptable. That needs to change. We need investments in education and health. We need to ensure that people don't live only with minimum wages. Though I can tell you, as I come from a country where 93% of the people are in the informal sector. People don't even get minimum wages, but we need to ask for living wages. So these are some very concrete, tangible policy asks. But what I would want to end by saying, inequality has eroded trust in democracies. What does inequality do is those billionaires not only buy private jets, which we know what it does to the climate, it also means they buy their members of parliament and their governments. Let's not forget that. Pretty much policies are made for them. That cannot continue. It's really about, I hope this can be the century of citizens. We need much more of that citizens' action, the civic action that I started from. And there's enough energy in people, but as organized civil society, I really feel we are behind the curve. And we need to ensure that we channelize the energies and anger of the people, work with them in changing this world, and we get, as we've been saying, justice now and a future which is equal and just for everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Amitabh. We cannot wait. And we tend to sometimes, in our advocacy, be softer. Yes, we need to communicate. But then we also need to communicate and channel the anger, the complete disappointment at the ground. And we cannot wait for those who have appropriated the wealth to go scot-free and then ensure that we tax the rich. I think this is something that we really need to do. Thank you very much, Amitabh, and all the inequality reports that you bring really needs to make sure that we carry this voice and demand, not just here at the UN, of course, that's what we've been doing, also take it back to the countries where they come from. And once again, just to inform you that this process has come with the 40 plus people's assemblies that have been working in country along with the several coalitions that these assemblies have been formed with. And I think we really need to acknowledge the effort that these assemblies, cutting across several organizations, diverse identity groups that have brought this together. Thank you very much. I now have the great privilege and also happy that we have with us Christensen, who is the Executive Director of Greenpeace International. Yeah, Greenpeace International, please. Thank you very much, and good morning. Allies, friends, activists, we are here to end the fossil fuel era once and for all, and to make polluters pay. Coal, oil, and gas are killing us. Fossil fuels are killing us, and our leaders are letting this happen on their watch. No more, no more. We are the wonderful, brave, diverse movement that we are. We are in charge of our future. We are taking the lead in holding our leaders to account. We are mobilizing in ways and means not seen in years. From Hawaii to Greece, from Libya to China, and beyond, the impacts of climate change are being felt on every continent, every place where you and I come from. You and I love, and you and I strive to defend for all. These extreme weather events, alongside geopolitical tensions, expose how crucial it is for the world to have solutions unquestionable based on climate science, collaboration, and international cooperation. Climate change means both the end to the era of fossil fuels to a green and transition where no one is left behind, and holding country and corporate polluters accountable and responsible both legally and financially for the harm caused by climate change. This more accurate meaning of climate justice is essential and global, since climate impact doesn't respect borders. Political leaders need to look past their country lines and their next election cycle and act in the interest of the next generation. And people on the front lines of the climate crisis today, instead of the big multinational fossil fuel companies. Leaders need to stop pitting the urgent fossil fuels phase out against who should pay for climate impacts around the world. It's a false choice, as we need both, and the need to act for the global common good. This is climate justice. The fossil fuel industry is unashamedly delaying its transition to a greener, safer system. The fossil fuel industry must be held accountable for the climate injustice they have caused and continue to cause to people and to the planet. It's time to stop all new coal, gas, and oil projects and phase out these dirty fuels forever. It's time for the fossil fuel industry to stop drilling and start paying. Polluters should pay for the destruction that they have caused, while governments, legislators, and the courts must act in the interest of people and hold the fossil fuel industry accountable for their crimes and criminalize fossil fuel extraction. We know climate justice won't simply fall into our lap. We know politicians only become leaders once they are exhausted all other options, and when the pressure becomes too big to ignore. We are here putting that pressure on. We are here calling for climate justice. We are here looking for climate justice leadership. We have come together and chosen action over inaction, justice over greed, urgency over hopelessness. Why can't the decision makers, especially those from the biggest polluting countries, do the same? The science is clear, and we the people are clear in our actions, and we won't rest until our leaders meets our climate justice demands for their accountability to us, the people. Thank you. Thank you, Martin. We will not rest till we have accountability and ensure that this happens today and not continuously being postponed. Thank you very much. We now have, we're just slightly switching the order to make sure that we facilitate. May I request now Maria Fernandes Espinosa to come, and she's currently the co-chair of Coalition for UN and the former president of General Assembly. Give a big hand, please.
Well, good morning, everybody. And I was thinking, you know, I wish I was the president of the Global People's Assembly instead, you know, because that's where energy comes from. That's where intelligence and wisdom and sense of reality comes from. And I am here not, you know, to be prescriptive on these are the things we need to do, because you know exactly what we need to do, and we heard from all of you. I just came here for a very selfish reason. And the reason is, you know, we need to get, you know, the energy and the intelligence, the collective intelligence of this room across the street. It's very symbolic. I'm a geographer, so space matters. So we are in this side, you know, the other meeting is taking place, and I have to run after this, which I hate to do. But basically, what I have to say is, we collectively, as a citizen, I can tell you that we have a huge responsibility. And the responsibility we have is that we are the first phase of the UN Charter. We are we the people's part of the UN. And I think we need to work collectively to make sure that we craft an organization that is fit for purpose, that we craft an organization that has space and place for we the people. We owe that, I think, to the world. When I heard James speak and when I heard all of you speak, it was extremely, extremely clear that we cannot continue to have a parallel conversation. You know, we are here, we know what people need, we work at the grassroots level, we have, you know, clarity about where this model of production and consumption is leading us, and across the street, there is a different narrative altogether, a different power dynamics altogether. And I think the strategy and the tactics that we're able to build together, you know, a narrative that is going to allow us to really have an impact on what is decided across the street is absolutely critical. I said I was selfish. Yes, I needed a little bit of fresh air, a little bit of the powerful voices that you hear. I needed some oxygen before going across the street. So thank you for this oxygen. Thank you for what we will be doing collectively today and tomorrow. Thank you for the space. Congratulations to the organizers, and you can count with the Coalition for the UN we need. You know, to honor the phrase, we need a UN for all. We need a UN that is relevant for all, especially for the marginalized, for the disenfranchised, for the people that are forgotten, and yet they still have agency and power. So thank you very much. Muchas gracias. Iba a hablar en español para que puedan ensayar con la traducción y me olvidé de hablar en español. Era solo para ver si está funcionando bien para las personas que prefieren seguir la reunión en español. Así es que, bueno, un abrazo, a big hug to all, and the only thing that is going to change the world is radical and transformative love. It's about love, because we are here, because we are not indifferent, and because we care. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for giving us oxygen. We want Oxygen. We want justice. We want. No, we don't have oxygen. We want justice. We want justice now. We want. We want. When do we want? Tomorrow? Now. Okay, hi everyone. As you all know, there's a big march today, yeah? It's called the March to End Fossil Fuel, which I'm sure some of you all will be attending. It's happening at the same time, sadly, as our assembly, but they're going to be marching here to the UN. And so hopefully by the end of our program today, around 3, we're all going to meet downstairs. If you want to join our contingent, we're going to go to join the climate march. Also, yes, make some noise for that. Also, tomorrow we're going to have our own social action at 6:30 p.m. So bring your banners from where you're coming from, your energy, your chats, your calls. Also, if you would like to speak, just come up to me so that we can add you to the program. Later around noon, back there in that corner, we're going to have some poster board and some markers. If you also want to make some placards to put down some of your slogans, or maybe you had a session today where you had an amazing call and you want to write it down so that we can have it tomorrow. And before I pass it back to Paul, we're going to do another chat to prepare for today and tomorrow. And it's from the climate justice movement. So hopefully my friends Leanne and Tete can help me. It goes, what do we want? We say climate justice, okay? And then I say, when do we want it? We say now. What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? When do we want it? If we don't get it, if we don't get it, if we don't get it, yes, make some noise. We will have some voices. Maybe we will take half a minute. So may I request now the executive director of Aphrodite, who has been really but instead appease creditors. In Africa, the African Forum on Network on Debt and Development, the organization that I represent, we have been learning about the very deep fiscal consolidation and austerity measures that many African countries are being forced to implement, not in terms of trying to generate revenues to invest in public services or to transform their economies, but instead to ensure that the coffers look just about full enough to service creditors in order to ensure credit ratings of these countries remain just good enough so that they can borrow some more from international capital markets. All of this at the expense of investing in people, all of this at the expense of investing in public services, and all of this at the expense of transforming our economies and our region. And what does this do altogether? It continues the vicious cycle where neoliberal economic policies, where market-based approaches, and where financialization are the order of the day. People are nowhere near the center of this conversation. People are nowhere near the policies that are being designed and being implemented. But instead, it is multinational corporations that are being appeased so that we can attract the so-called foreign direct investment. It is creditors who continue to do predatory lending in very lack of transparent ways in a system that propagates this type of debt financing in the spirit of so-called development. And as we gather here today, the message from those of us who are in the debt movement is that we need to say no to debt as a way of solving our global crises. The only way to solve our global crisis is to empower our government, to empower our citizens to generate their own domestic resources. Debt is not an instrument for development. It is an instrument for neocolonial, it is an instrument of enslavement, and it is an instrument of dependency that countries and people of the global south are being subjected to. Let us not be fooled by those who are across the road who are saying we need more private finance, we need more market-based solutions. We do not. What we need is an opportunity to trade. What we need is an opportunity to produce so that we do not have to have deficits and therefore go to markets to borrow. And to do this, we need a complete overhaul of the global financial architecture, the global economic system, one that puts people first, one that puts countries from the global south first. It is impossible or difficult to fathom that during crises, there are more billionaires being created than there are people being raised out of poverty. Many of you here would have heard and read with great disgust, I'm sure, that there were more billionaires created during COVID-19 than there were people lifted out of poverty, than there were people who had access to COVID-19 vaccines, and so on. So we live in a world where all these movements, all these fights, all these struggles are coming together because finance is at the heart of it. And the less we continue propagating market-based neoliberal approaches, the better our movements will be. The less debt dependency that we will have on this for countries in the global south, and the less that our resources will be traded off in order to keep creditors happy. And my final message, if the ones I've said before are not good enough, is imagine a situation where you already have a small resource pot and your government is taking a decision to allocate almost a fifth of that resource to service creditors and says it plainly that we have to allocate 20% of our tax revenue, not of the budget, of the tax revenue. A very big difference between the budget and the tax revenue. Countries in the global south have a very low tax revenue base. But if a government decides that it's allocating 20% of its tax revenue in order to service a single creditor, you can imagine what that means for investment in people. You can imagine what that means for investment in girls and women, in young people. We are saddling an already marginalized group of society with more burdens. We are saddling citizens who are already overtaxed, yet with more regressive tax practices. All of this because we seem to have been caught up in the idea that debt is not bad. Everyone says across the road, debt is not bad. It just depends how you use it. It just depends where you invest it. This is a misleading narrative. This is a misleading narrative. It's not just about how it is used or how it is managed. It is also about how it is serviced and how it is designed. Debt from capital markets is very, very disruptive. It is very inflexible and has very punitive ways of collecting from government. So today, as we gather here at the People's Assembly, let's remember that we can no longer mortgage our future in favor of debt. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jason. I think it's so true. Whether I come from the village in say Sri Lanka or Asia or anywhere in Latin America, Africa, there is a debt bonded labor, attached labor. So whether it is there in the village or whether it is there across the country, debt is an instrument of enslavement. I think this is something that, thank you very much for bringing us this news. So we must ensure that our government, whatever illegal or legal means that they have got themselves entrapped, that we say no to debt. And we have a very important group bringing us the Edward Said National Conservatory of Music coming to us from Gaza, Palestine. It has taken us long to come. Give them a big clap.
No, don't.
استاذ محمد هم شالوا الميوت وستاندون
عادي.
طب لازم بعدين تحكي لانه حط سبوت لايت عليك وبقول لك وشال الميوت عنك انا قاعد بستنى
خليني انتوا اشوف اذا في هذا الصوت.
احكي لهم طب سامعونا في صوت ولا لا.
Hello everybody, can you hear us?
صوت باين.
Shall we start?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
So, okay. Hello everybody, I am Manal with you. I am the director of Edward Said National Conservatory of Music in Gaza. With my colleagues, the teacher of the school and also part of our students who will now listen together to this piece of music for Mr. Jamil Bek Tambouri, the composer, and also the music arrangement for this music is for our colleague, Ms. Rina Ridwan. So I hope that you will enjoy it. Thank you.
We have a voice the people. Voice the with all the mortar, they can even talk. Communicating, but they're giving and we will never put that down. So give them a big hand. That's we want. We don't want anybody else for that kind of a resilience. And we I know some of you have, I don't think he takes it in that way. But I would like to welcome on behalf of this Global People's Assembly, Ms. Ulrika Modéer, to come and tell us that you will. Thank you. Thank you. Development report drivers with the risk and then also the digital divide. Here we see it can be done, but so much more needs to be done. Now, I come from United Nations development programs, and we like to call ourselves the ones who have boots on the ground, many times working with so many of you. Great to see and to be part of, and not least to listen into the discussions here in the People's Assembly, but not least to know that all of you are representing also so many organizations that are actually taking action on countries, and that you also prepared this with your National Assembly. An activist said the other day, but no when there, you've seen this previous report. 30% of the moving, and of course also that 52 countries more to service the debt interest rate compared to what they actually can invest. Two areas such as health and education makes us all. When you walk here and you pass by the United Nations Development Program building, just across the street here, on this side of the street, you see that hopeful. Some mention that this is really provoking. And my colleagues, we know that the future is incredibly troubling and messy. But one of the reasons why we put these messages up there was to say that we want each and everyone, not least the decision makers representing two governments in the General Assembly Hall, to the best agreement that we've had for many, many years. The commitment where we finally, and this was of course then informed by the many discussions that you had at the time, that we could combine what is sustainable economic development with social justice, that we will not have sustainable economic development unless we factor in that this is also about social sustainability. And that we will not have economic or social sustainable development unless we also have full respect for the boundaries of our planet and consider the importance of fighting climate change and protecting our biodiversity. The first agenda that actually, throughout the decades that we have negotiated in the UN, brought these two pillars together. And I think we heard in the first intervention this morning, it's so important to look at the
system solutions that need to be in place. It's really, really key to make things go back to track and move forward. This is also, and I would like to refer you to our website, undp.org, where you find a lot of information, not only to human development, but also what we call insight reports. Because we were concerned that decision makers would come here representing governments, looking at the numbers and feeling want to be held to account to this failure. But these lofty promises of my promises for my country and that I am actually responsible for implementing. We wanted, on behalf of UNDP, to be part of a push, an SDG push for real commitment, but not only to the words but the action. And that action should then be informed by what we have done is to ask countries whether they would be interested if we could help them to read the reality on the ground, sometimes locally, regionally in the country, sometimes nationally, and provide some insights. Understand better. Why is it that we're not advancing and what could we do different? So look at it and put in an insight report, and you will see, and I think that this could also possibly do to move forward and that we can actually have an even better informed discussion at country level. We are that if we look more for system solutions, that when you do the key energy investment, you actually take into consideration as well how this will also, as we look for the green transitioning, also help people to move out of poverty. How will it reinforce gender equality? Unleash the potential of young entrepreneurs in country who can actually be part, as they are, of our youth Africa mini grid program, connecting every day millions of people to electricity. Of course, unleashing so much potential for kids to go to school, but not the homework late at night, women to be more secure, but also for the local communities to strive for potential. So UNDP are really meant to be that vehicle for a much more informed discussion at country level, how we can do things differently. And then finally, of course, how do you have an informed discussion at country level? Yes, using machine learning, AI, I mean, improving our data, talking to decision makers, to government staff, to the different ministries, state agencies, the regional and local level. But at the end of the day, we also really need to make sure that there is space for civil society. And of course, as UNDP, with good governance, rule of law, and human rights-based approach at the heart of what we do, we have been really concerned when we have seen the things being faced throughout the past years. Because this is, of course, also what the pandemic brought. Somewhat an opportunity for those who felt they didn't want to have protests on the streets. But protest is really also, of course, a sign of the strength of a society. For people speaking up, wanting to be part of the solution, yes, criticizing, but also serving to the multifaceted increasing inequality that we see globally, but also at country level and locally. So with UNDP, I hope that you will see a need, and if you don't, a UN entity present on in so many different areas across the sustainable development goals to inform how we, but our role is to have a people-centered approach. And like my colleague also reminding us about the charter, it was we the people, not we government. So on, and I don't have to tell you because I know that this is what you do. I actually have more time also in civil society than I have on government or the international institution side. Keep informing the discussion, but also out to my colleagues so I do around and see how we can work together. We cannot do this on our own. The UN is fairly weak. Even the decision makers on this side of the stick, and I was saying to our colleagues of Africa, they also need to be supported to actually challenge their ministries of finance. The discussions are not necessarily taking place in New York, the decisions are being taken in Washington. So what's the space, what's where you see the power, and how you can be part of informing the discussions, and do work with us. Help us to inform the discussions and help us also to make change happen in practice. So check out unity.org, and I'm looking forward to continue to listen to the really interesting discussions here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ulrika. We will your offer, and we will engage and relate with, and also hold UNDP responsible at the country levels and work with them. I think this is very, very important, because all these talks here has to also result in our capitals, and not in only capitals but subnational spaces. And these subnational UNDP has these spaces, and they work, as we all know, offer to see that we engage quadrennial plans that they make, that these are very much included, especially the voices from the excluded, and leave no one behind, communities that we all represent. So thank you very much. A big hand again to Ulrika. So as we have been waiting, this is the voice who is the chair of the commission,
An honor to be this morning. It's a little strange because I was screaming yesterday during our march. We had our SPC summit. So, of course, it's strange because of that. Thank God we have a march this morning. So yesterday I met Anyango, actually, who asked me to come speak this morning while we were rallying around the UN. So he had me speaking, doing some slogans. I'm from South Africa. My name is Mari. I was born in Soweto. I'm sure you've heard of Soweto. You've heard of Nelson Mandela. The world knows about Nelson Mandela, the world revolutionary. He fought for our freedom in South Africa. He did a lot. It's sad to see what's going on in my country today. People fighting amongst each other because of power. We are divided today as nations today because of greed and power. We are divided in so many ways. When anyone told me I can come speak here, and I said, what am I going to speak about? And he said, SPC. And I said, oh, that's not hard to talk about. We are SPCs. SPCs is a lifestyle. SPCs is what we do every single day. The UN decided to SPCs. I talked about home. Think about it. When you live in your home, you live like love and respect one another. Today, like, we are so divided. I was telling someone during the days of apartheid in my country too. I had so many cousins. We used to stay in a 4-room house, but that house was full. We all slept in one couch. We all ate in one bowl. But today, my cousins and I were not important. You know why? Because we are divided, right? Why? People have a lot of issues in the world. The more we're not taking care of our planet and taking care of each other, the more problems we have. Let's talk about mental health issues. So many people have mental issues. We know we've gone through traumas in our lives. So, like, this is very, very necessary and very important that we do. So people have no understanding of what people are going through. So I to promote culture, because when we help to bridge the gap, like understanding other people. And that's Nelson Mandela and Winnie Mandela I said, I love her spirit. She was a fighter. So that's the woman that fought for Nelson Mandela to be out of prison in my country. Use the slogan, and Nelson Mandela used the slogan called Amanda Awake. So Amanda Awake is good language in my language is Zulu. It means Amanda means power. Awake means hours. So yesterday when I told people when you that we say it with conviction, because you're not gonna say I am power. You're gonna say I am power. Yes. And that I that slogan for them to understand that we are one and called Ubuntu as well in our Zulu language. For God in this area, that is why we have so many problems in our society. So means I am because you are. Ubuntu means regardless of my race, of gender, ethnicity, and otherwise, I'm still going to respect you as a human being. I see as the Chair Commission for Women's Rights, Human Rights, and Youth Council. I was actually given that title for an organization that I volunteer for, called Global Sustainable Development Goals Inc. But I added the human rights myself because that's our inherent right as human beings. So no one can tell me that you should human rights. We can see, but that's within. So I gave myself that title because I do advocate for human rights. I am here because I do care about human rights. I do care about humanity. I do care about our love for each other. We all do care. That is why we're here this morning. Yes, that it was important to be here and fight and keep fighting and we can continue. So I'm gonna say something for us to all join in, you know. So I'm gonna say, who are we? We say civil society. Where are we? 2023. Are we there yet? Never, not, no. Amanda, alert. Amanda, alert. Okay, so I did say Amanda means power. Alert means hours. Okay? All right, let's go. With conviction, guys. Who are we? Who are we? Are we there yet? No, 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 no. Amanda! Amanda! Who are we? Who are we? Where are we? Are we there yet? Amanda! Amanda! Thank you very much. Yeah, give yourself a round of applause because that was just really power there. So I just want to leave you guys with a message. The message I want to leave you guys is the best way we're going to solve SDGs is by starting with us. Starting by you treating the next person next to you as a human being. Meaning that you give them respect, you show them love, compassion. That's how we're going to start with this. For us to solve the world, it's like everything what we learn from our homes. You know, charity begins at home as well. So for us, let's start from our home. Let's practice from home. Ubuntu. Let's practice Ubuntu amongst each other. Amanda! Amanda! Thank you very much.
Thank you. So it's not only holding others accountable, and what Gugu is telling us is hold ourselves accountable to the lifestyle we relate with each other, whether it's your own family, whether it's your neighbor, people from other castes. So it's not just the state. It is also the society, the civil society, and even we as individuals. Thank you very much, Gugu, for this wonderful message. And Amanda, Jai Bhim, Opraroma. Please say Opraroma. Opraroma is another community. So Jai Bhim, Opraroma, Salve is for the community. Salve, Lentile,
is that the Buraku community were saying we will say no to untouchability in Japan and other places. Lentai! Friends, we will now share the list of coalitions because this would not have happened without the list of organizers and the coalitions who have made this possible through a process I think many of you know almost is for the past 8 months or maybe even 1 year that the planning for the Global People's Assemblies has begun. So I will request Indo, give him a big hand. He's the director of Global Action, Global Call to People Poverty, sorry. And you really know that he has not slept in the last 2-3 months. So give him a big hand and thank you very much. Please share with us the program.
Okay, thank you, Paul, and thanks to all speakers for this great opening. So I will introduce you into the co-organizers and also the program for today. We have really exciting sessions. So, but before I like to show you at least the co-organizers. So we have 64 co-organizers. So it's really difficult. I cannot read them out, all of them from global, regional, national networks. So you can read them here. You can also find them on our website, People's Assembly. .global. And I also like to remind you at this moment to the 2 hashtags we are using are People's Assembly and Act for SDGs, because we are also part of the Global Week to Act for SDGs. So we are doing this around the world with many partners, with the UN SDG Action Campaign and as Paul mentioned, many coalitions, but many others. So basically, what we have done in the last week is we have organized people's assemblies in 40 countries. So there were 19 in Africa. So far we counted 18, but today I saw there was one in Uganda as well. There were 8 countries in Asia, including at the end China joined. They did an online assembly because it was not possible to meet in person. Even we also had finally in Russia also an online assembly, also for the same political reasons, and some other countries like Belarus. So 4 in Europe and then 10 in Latin America and the Caribbean. So that was the basis of this Global People's Assembly. So we have people met there, analyzed their situation, local communities, marginalized people, to bring their voices in on the SDG midpoint where we are at the moment, and to bring their proposals and demands towards their government before this SDG summit. So, and of course they bring it to the public. This press statement also was done, which is happening even today, but many of them last week. So these 40 people's assemblies were brought to regional assemblies. We had one all the online in Africa, in Asia, Latin America, and Caribbean, and in Europe. And they brought these messages here to the Global People's Assembly. So we have the next session we have is on the declaration. All of this was brought into the declaration, and we will go through the declaration in the next session. So just to go briefly through this program, you find also at the walls. So we have after this opening plenary, there's an online session building includes the cleaner, fair futures, voices of children for SDGs, which is only online. And then we will stay here in the room and work on the declaration. So we will have not really a break. We will have some culture. So there's coffee at the end. Then we have 3 great sessions in parallel. So the social justice one on social protection and health, people's vaccine will be in the 11th floor in the Harden room. Then there's the shrinking space and human rights session, which is really here in this 2nd floor room. Then there's the indigenous people's meeting in the 8th floor boss room, and also very important, the rich financial architecture for economic justice, which will be in the 10th floor in the conference room. So you'll find this, as I said, also at the walls. Then please come back for lunch here to the 2nd floor, We have ordered lunch for 200 people, so please come. It's a migrant organization, Eat Offbeat. They're cooking different very nice food today. We have more, I think, African food, tomorrow Asian. Then from 1:30 to 3, we have another 3 great sessions. Inequalities and leave no one behind on the 11th floor in the Harding Room. Then we have achieving the SDGs through intergenerational collaboration on the 10th floor. Also very interesting. And finally, the linkages of pushback, linkages of resistance, gender, climate, migration, and democracy, which will be here in this room. So as Leon said, the climate march is actually starting at 1, so we will go together to the climate march then at the end, so we will meet downstairs because the Shared Center actually has to close at 3, so they are quite strict, so please be careful about the time, and so please go to these sessions in time, and we continue tomorrow. We start early, actually. The colleagues from Asia organized the 3rd SDG 16 Plus Forum Asia. That will be only online. And then we come back here in the Shared Center with 3 parallel sessions. The first on the planetary crisis, climate change, biodiversity loss, and chemical and waste pollution here in the 2nd floor. Then peace and conflict on the 10th floor, and the feminist economy on the 11th floor. And then there will be a break, which is not mentioned here, but then at 11, we start with the Youth Assembly on the 10th floor, then the Global Democracy and the UN on the 11th, and climate financing here on the 2nd floor. Again, we come back for lunch here, and then we will have another session on the declaration. Probably we will have it finalized today, but we also need to spread the declaration to bring it into the SDG summit. That's also maybe something to our colleagues from the UN. So we have then the civil society networking session. That is also something quite interesting. So we will go through the different summits to come and how to work together, whether it's the COP, the different health summits, then also the Climate Ambitious Summit, the Summit of the Future, the SSD4 conference, the World Social Summit. So we're planning together on networking, advocacy, and mobilization. So that's 3 hours. Of course, it would be great if many of you would come. And then we have the final plenary, which will be a bit similar like this one, but more bringing the results together. We also have great speakers, but also we want participants to speak more. We have like the Secretary General of Amnesty International, of Civicus, and the head of Save the Children, for example. We also have some more music, and we prepare then finally for the stand. The stand will be at 6:30 on the Dark Hammerfield Plaza, just a few blocks from here, and we will start the preparations in the closing plenary. So this is the program. Thanks to all co-organizers who organized this. Usually from the last years, we had only online assemblies, but we had a very good quality of this session. So be invited to join. So that's all now. Anything unclear? I hope. Yeah, we have interpretation in most of the sessions. You need to go in the Zoom, and also people can join online also. Good. So going. We are exhausted. We thought the whole week is over by the time you finish your packed program. My goodness, is it possible to do this in 1.5 days? But really great, the work that has gone in with several task forces. I think we really would like to thank all the members. I know week after week, they have put in their energy preparing each of these sections, and also declaration is still work in progress because many of us have not sufficiently filled in also. And I think this is something that we'll be taking up. So big hand again to the group that has made this possible. It is much, much more interesting than tomorrow's session. So please be around here. Anyway, you can't get in because they're only allowing a handful. Yes, so just to say tomorrow, we are not fully sure how the security will work tomorrow. It's quite probable that you need to show something like the Eventbrite registration at the police on the 2nd Avenue. If you come to the 44th Street, enter the 44th Street from 2nd Avenue. So please be prepared that you have, you can look when you register here, you can search for Eventbrite and then that you show this to the police. Also, you got an email from us. Usually that's not a problem then to enter, but you need to be prepared for that. So we will continue with the declaration session, but we will have an artist in a kind of break. So we have the two speakers from New York, and we're happy you're here. So welcome. Before they take the stand, let's give a warm welcome to all those. I do not know how many the number who are there virtually across, all those who have joined us. Thank you very much for being with us. I know it's a challenge, but I think I do not know how many numbers, we do not know, but several people, some of them got sick, not able to come. So thank you very much for watching us. Yeah. So over to you, please.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Two Feathers, also known as Lucy Andarios. I am of Taino, Caribbean Indian descent. And I'm here to represent Lisa Russell in Create 2023. We're demanding more representation when it comes to working class artists in terms of policy making. So I'm just going to share two poems with you very quickly. I don't use the mic because I'm very loud. So. Oh, really? Oh, sorry. Okay, I will try to keep it away from my face then because I'm loud. Okay. This is called Captive. Maybe we all have a bit of Stockholm syndrome. The culture that has kept us captive is the one we emulate, aspire to, protect, bleach skin, silken hair, adopt their ideology, strip dialect from tongues, made mild of spices to appeal to their taste buds. So in line, even the ones we think speak change their attempts to write, the safe kind, the ones that appeal to the masses knowing well who they are. They're the ones that own your information, own your freedom, own your history. That's why many pages left unpublished of our ancestors' teeth and troubles, hurts and triumphs, to protect the image of the image we protect. Cycles of protection leave room for no reflection, stealing into false mirrors of the stories they altered, so we can be blended as they please, right for the picking, time after time, time after time, time after time. We have been walking in straight lines for centuries, from lines to gas chambers, to guillotines, to unemployment lines, to cultural genocide. When a white teen can mock the song of an elder, glimpses of the past made present, same stories, same prayers to on paper, learning lyrics of rights and beans, a break lap features. I know what they think upon eyes meeting. Maybe it's because my skin's the color of the beach floors their ancestors conquered. So familiar to be taken change, they forget I am an ocean. I am an unruly sea, a world within itself, roaring, destined to be safe. I know some must be thinking, yeah, you're right yourself. Only seeing European ancestors like them, forgetting my name, forgetting the mixed blood flowing in my veins. Perhaps I'm using this platform, this perceived privilege at best, but for the accuracy of the lines is thin. The lines between explorer and native. I guess I'm a testament to just how thin that line is. Between ignorance and embrace, between the past and future, between love and hate. Thank you. Thank you. And this one is the divine feminine shift. I never chose to leave. Maybe that's why it comes to such a shock when the person we bled for, hurt ourselves for, stayed for, suddenly leaves with the callous strength we have been trained not to have. We don't know how to leave. We weren't taught to, but men are taught the very nature of movement, to conquer, to move on, to shake it off, to be a man. As if the art of letting go was only essential to their lives. Perhaps this too was on purpose, so women would never truly realize their strength. the strength and their ability to choose. Men have always known deep down the power of a woman, and so by manipulative design, we've been held hostage to their own projected fears of inadequacy and inferiority, all through the application of imposed gender role construction, which is not real. They teach men to go, to run, to conquer, to assert themselves. Yet they teach those that carry the very force of life from within them to cower, to soften, to relax, to please, to reduce themselves to obedience, to carry the weight and guilt of presumed wrongdoing simply because we are the true leaders of life, love, family, and sex. Maintain guilt and virginity as if sleeping with someone would change our lives. That's how important they've made themselves. Knowing so well it's our bodies and beings that change their lives. I will not apologize for this rant. It has been built from the time before my time. My grandmothers, my great-grandmothers, my elders. This aggression, this fiery language brimming with passion is not to be dismissed for the ramblings of insanity. It is the generational suffering, the lineage of loss. It is the culmination of the stories of my female connections, both blood and spiritual, crawling up the back of my throat, of your throats, my sisters, demanding to be heard. This is the birth in silence. This is the God and the night. This is the rebirth. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much. Powerful. Thank you so much. It is a beginning for us to get into, not sure that we will stand on these experiences and demand much more accountability from those. And that's why I think we are here to make the voices. So friends, thank you very much. I think this session is closed. That doesn't mean you can go. Please don't go because we have the next session. We request you to smoothly just go and take a coffee and come back. As I request Shana, who's going to lead this session, if she's here. Yeah, Shana. Yes. Sorry, Ratna and Maitri and Shana. Over to you. Give them a big hand, please.